The man in the cap. It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon when Keanu Reeves walked into one of his own burger restaurants. He didn't come with an entourage or announce his arrival. He wore a faded baseball cap, a simple black hoodie, and jeans. He stood in line, just like everyone else. Nobody recognized him at first. He liked it that way. The burger chain, known for its simple menu and honest food, had been one of Keanu's passion projects. He didn't open it for profit. He opened it for the people, to give jobs, to support local farms, and to offer something good without the flash. But today, something had pulled him in. He felt a strange urge to visit this particular location. Something inside told him he needed to be there. A group of college kids in front of him were laughing, checking their phones, and ordering fries with extra cheese. Keanu smiled softly. He wasn't judging. He just liked watching people be happy. When it was finally his turn, he stepped forward and looked at the young woman behind the counter. She looked barely 20. Her hands trembled slightly. She had tired eyes, and her name tag read Sophie. "Hey," Keanu said gently, "can I get a regular cheeseburger, fries, and a vanilla shake?" The girl looked up, and the moment her eyes met his, something changed. Her lips parted, her face turned pale, and her breathing grew fast. For a moment, she didn't say anything. Then, in a whisper, barely audible, she said, I'm sorry." Keanu froze. The words hit him like a brick. "Sorry?" he asked softly, leaning in, confused. "Did something happen?" Sophie looked down at the register. Her eyes filled with tears, and her voice shook as she tried to explain. "I didn't know you were coming. If I had known, I didn't mean for it to happen." Keanu tilted his head, concerned but calm. "What didn't you mean to happen?" The customers behind him started whispering now. A few people finally realized who he was. Phones began to lift into the air, some recording, some snapping pictures. But Keanu didn't care. His full attention was on the girl in front of him. Sophie's manager, a man in his 40s with slick back hair, came rushing from the back. "Mr. Reeves," he said loudly, forcing a smile, "we weren't expecting you today. We're honored, sir." Keanu didn't even glance at him. He kept looking at Sophie, who now had tears running down her cheeks. The manager turned to her with a fake grin, his voice low and sharp. "Get it together, Sophie. Take his order." Keanu slowly turned toward the manager. "She just apologized to me," he said quietly, and not forgetting the order wrong. "I want to know why." The manager hesitated. "She's just nervous, you know." Starstruck. But Sophie shook her head. "No," she whispered. "He deserves to know." Keanu stepped aside and motioned to a quiet corner of the restaurant. "Sophie," he said gently, "do you want to talk away from all this?" She nodded quickly. As they walked away, the crowd stared. Some recorded, others whispered. A few clapped, but none of them knew what was coming next. Keanu sat down at the corner booth. Sophie sat across from him. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. "I want you to know something," Keanu said softly. "I'm not here to scare anyone or get anyone in trouble. I'm here because something told me to come. Now tell me, Sophie, what happened?" Sophie looked at her hands. Her fingers were trembling. Then she whispered the words that would change everything. "I think your restaurant is being used to hurt people," she said. "And I think it's my fault." Keanu's eyes didn't blink. The restaurant noise faded in his ears. The hum of the machines, the clatter of trays, all vanished in that moment. He leaned in. "Tell me everything," he said. And she did. The hidden room. Sophie's hands were still shaking as she looked down at the table. Her voice was quiet, but every word cut through the noise around them. "It started 3 months ago," she said. "I was working late. It was a slow night. Most of the staff had gone home. I was cleaning the counter when I saw him, the assistant manager, Dylan. He went into the freezer, but he didn't come out." Keanu leaned forward slightly. "So, I waited," she whispered. "But he didn't come back. So I followed. When I opened the freezer door, he was gone. Then I noticed it, a small panel in the back wall. I'd never seen it before. I tapped it, and it opened. There was a staircase." Keanu listened without blinking. "Where did it lead?" "Downstairs, to a small room. It looked like an office." but not one that was ever meant to be found. It had cameras, screens, files, and pictures of people, girls mostly. Some of them looked scared. Keanu's jaw tightened. He didn't speak yet. I took a photo of the room on my phone, Sophie said, reaching into her pocket. But the next morning, my phone was gone. And so was Dylan. They told me he quit. Keanu asked. The manager. His name's Rick, the one who greeted you earlier. After that night, I started noticing other things. Young girls getting hired, working only a few shifts, and then disappearing. No goodbye, no final check. Just gone. Keanu's voice was low and steady. Did you report it? I tried. She said, but the police officer I spoke to, he laughed, said maybe the girls just didn't like flipping burgers. Keanu looked out the window for a moment. The street outside was busy. Life was normal. But inside this booth, the world had just tilted. And today, Sophie added, they told me someone from corporate was coming to visit. They told me to keep quiet. When I saw you walking, I panicked. I didn't know it was you. I thought you were just another one of them coming to cover it up. Keanu looked straight into her eyes. I'm not here to cover anything up. I built this place to be safe, not secret. Sophie nodded, trying to hold back tears. I know. That's why I'm telling you. You're the only one who might listen. Keanu stood up. His voice was calm but firm. Come with me. Where? She asked. To the back. Show me that panel. They walked past the confused crowd. Rick, the manager, stepped forward. Sir, I'm not sure what. Keanu didn't stop. Stay there, he said. We'll talk later. They entered the kitchen. Sophie led him to the freezer. She looked around nervously, then opened the heavy door. Cold air rushed out. She walked to the back wall and pressed a small spot near the base. With a soft click, the panel opened. Keanu stared into the dark stairwell. This was never on any blueprint, he whispered. They stepped in slowly. Each stair creaked under their feet. The air smelled of damp concrete and old grease. At the bottom, a dim light flickered. Then they saw it. A metal desk with old monitors still glowing. Grainy black and white footage of various corners of the restaurant played on loop. Lockers lined the far wall. Folders sat open with papers inside. Keanu picked up one of the files. His hands clenched as he read. Employee transfer request. Subject, female, 19. Status, unresolved. He opened another. Similar language, vague, cold, inhuman. This isn't just mismanagement. He said, this is criminal. They heard a noise upstairs, a door slamming, fast footsteps. We have to go, Sophie whispered. No. Keanu said, we need proof. He pulled out his phone and took pictures of everything. Folders, screens, the secret stairwell. Then, footsteps grew louder. Rick's voice echoed above. Sophie, where are you? They rushed back up. Closing the panel behind them, Keanu stepped out first. Rick was there, arms crossed, forcing a smile. So, he said, having a private tour. Are we? Keanu stared at him. I saw what's downstairs. Rick's face froze. You're done here. Keanu said coldly, and if you try to run, the police will be waiting. But Rick didn't flinch. Instead, he smiled. You really think the police care? He said quietly. You're not the only one with influence, Keanu. You're just one man. But we're many. Keanu's eyes narrowed. For the first time, Sophie saw anger in them. Not rage, not fire, but deep, calm, dangerous anger. Then let's see, Keanu said. How many of you are brave enough to stand in the light? Cameras, codes, and silence. Keanu didn't wait for Rick to respond. He took out his phone, still recording from downstairs, and lifted it right in front of Rick's face. This is being recorded, he said calmly. Every word, every threat, every lie. So think twice. Rick's grin faded. His eyes darted around, as if searching for a way out. The kitchen staff, who had heard the raised voices, began peeking around corners. Some looked confused, others looked scared. One or two quietly removed their aprons and stepped back. You shouldn't have come here, Rick said under his breath. Keanu kept his voice low. And you should never have made this place unsafe. Then something unexpected happened. A boy, maybe 17, wearing a grease-stained uniform, stepped forward. "Sir," he said quietly to Keanu, "he made my sister quit after one shift. She never told me why. Just cried for days and said she couldn't work here anymore." Rick's eyes widened. "You little don't," Keanu said sharply. Holding up his hand, another voice followed. A woman from the grill station. "I always wondered why new girls disappeared. I never dared to ask." Rick was now backing away. "You think people are scared of you," Keanu said. "But they're not. They're tired, and tired people stop being afraid." Sophie stood taller now, her voice finally strong. "You can't silence us anymore." Rick turned to run, but the restaurant's security guard, a quiet man named Elijah who usually just watched the door, stepped into his path. "Not today," Elijah said calmly. "You wait right here." Rick was cornered. Still, his voice hissed with venom. "You think you've won, Reeves? This goes deeper than me. There are people above me who know everything. People who won't let you burn this place down." Keanu stared at him, voice steady. "Then let them come. But I promise you, every light I can shine, I will." Rick was escorted to the office. Keanu made sure no one touched him, not out of kindness, but because everything had to be done right. Then Keanu turned to Sophie. "We're going to need more than words." Sophie nodded. "I think I can help. That panel downstairs? I saw a flash drive plugged into the back of the monitor once. It might still be there." They headed back to the freezer, this time joined by Elijah and the brave young worker who had spoken up. Downstairs, the dim light flickered again, but Keanu's flashlight guided the way. Sophie pointed at the monitor. Keanu reached around, and sure enough, there was a small drive, dusty, half-broken, but still intact. "We're going to need a tech expert to pull this data," Keanu said, slipping the drive into his pocket. "Someone we trust." They climbed back upstairs. By now, the entire restaurant had gone quiet. Customers had left. The staff stood together, uncertain but no longer afraid. They had seen the truth. Keanu stood in front of them all. "I built this place," he said, "not for money, not for fame, but because I believe every person deserves a clean job, a safe job, and a place to grow. This isn't just about food. This is about trust. And today, someone tried to break that." He looked around the room, then added, "But thanks to Sophie and to all of you who spoke up, that trust begins to rebuild today." A few workers clapped. Others wiped their eyes. Sophie looked overwhelmed. Rick was taken by the police that same evening. He didn't say much during the arrest, but as they let him out, he looked back at Keanu and smirked. "You think it's over," he said, "but you're only scratching the surface." Keanu didn't reply. That night, he sat in his hotel room with his laptop open and the flash drive plugged in. Files loaded slowly, images, logs, spreadsheets, names. He recognized none of them, but that was what made it scarier. So many girls, so many transfers, so much silence. One file stood out. It was named Partners. Keanu clicked it. A list of names appeared, and one of them made him stop breathing, not because it was a stranger, but because it was someone he knew, a person from his own team, someone who had helped him build the company from the start. His hands trembled. He whispered one word under his breath, "No." Betrayal, and the Keanu stared at the name on the screen. His heart pounded louder than the silence in the room. It wasn't just anyone. It was someone he trusted, someone who had been with him since the very beginning. The name read, Victor Hahn, Operations Director. Victor wasn't just a business partner. He was a friend. They had shared meals, laughed at meetings, and built this dream together. The dream of creating an honest burger chain that hired the overlooked and treated people with dignity. Victor had promised him they would stay true to that mission. Keanu leaned back in the chair. His fingers covered his mouth. His mind spun in 1,000 directions. He thought of the time Victor flew to Mexico to open their first international branch, the way he handled the press with calm charm, the way he used to say, "If we do this with kindness, the world will taste it." But now, that same man had his name under a file called Partners. Partners in what? Keanu clicked further. The file contained emails, hidden behind code, somewhere encrypted, but a few opened easily. One message chilled him. It said, "Shipment confirmed, next location." downtown branch. Clean it up before the visit. Kay doesn't suspect anything yet. Keanu closed his laptop and sat in the dark. He felt something inside him change, not anger, not revenge. Disappointment. And sadness. He picked up his phone and called Sophie. I need your help, he said. Can you meet me in the morning? Of course, she replied without hesitation. The next day, Keanu arrived at the downtown branch, the largest location in the city. It had sleek glass windows and cheerful posters. No one here would suspect the shadows beneath the surface. Sophie met him at the side entrance. She looked stronger now, more confident. She brought with her a small notebook filled with everything she remembered from the night in the hidden room. Names, times, small details. Do you really think Victor is involved? She asked. I hope not, Keanu said softly. But hope doesn't replace truth. They walked inside. Victor was there already. Tall, charming, wearing a sharp suit and a welcoming smile. He greeted customers like a host at a five-star restaurant. When he saw Keanu, he lit up. Hey, man, Victor said. What a surprise. Didn't expect to see you here today. Keanu didn't smile back. We need to talk. Now, Victor paused. Something flickered behind his eyes. Sure, let's go to the office. They walked into a private room at the back. Sophie stayed outside, but listened closely through the door. Keanu sat down first. I know what's happening, he said quietly. I found the files. I've seen the names. I saw the footage. Victor froze. He didn't respond. Right away. And you saw my name? Yes. A long silence followed. Then Victor exhaled and leaned back. I was hoping you wouldn't. Keanu's heart broke a little more with that answer. Why? Victor looked tired now. The smile was gone. His shoulders slumped like someone carrying a hidden weight for too long. At first, it was about money, he said. You said this place wouldn't be about profit. I agreed. But then we expanded. The bills grew, investors pushed, and I made a few small deals under the table. I thought I could control it. But you didn't, Keanu said. No, Victor admitted. I didn't. I let people in who didn't care about anything but gain. They turned a few branches into fronts. Quiet deals, cheap labor, silent workers, girls who didn't know their rights. I didn't think it would go that far. Keanu's voice was shaking. You betrayed everything we built. I know, Victor whispered. I hate myself for it. Then why didn't you stop? Victor looked up, and in his eyes was fear. Because the people behind this, they're dangerous. They don't just shut down stores. They shut down lives. Keanu stood up. And yet you kept working with them. Victor looked away. Do you have names? Keanu asked. Victor slowly nodded. Yes. But if I give them to you, they'll come after me. Keanu stared. They're already coming after you. But if you help me now, maybe we can stop this before more lives are lost. Victor reached into his jacket and pulled out a flash drive. This has everything, he said. Emails, contacts, shipping records, fake employees. It's dangerous to hold. Keanu took it and put it in his pocket. Then I'll hold it. What will you do now? Victor asked. Keanu walked to the door. I'm going to fix what you broke. Sophie stepped aside as Keanu exited the room. Outside, things looked normal. Burgers sizzled, fries dropped, soda, machines hummed. But Keanu knew, behind the flavor, something rotten had crept in, and he was going to root it out, starting now. The storm insideth. Next morning, Keanu stood outside the corporate headquarters of his burger chain. The building was tall, polished, full of glass and light. On the outside, everything looked clean, but Keanu now knew, on the inside, something had been growing in the shadows, something he could no longer ignore. Sophie stood beside him, holding the notebook close to her chest. She had barely slept, but her eyes were focused. She knew the risks, but more than fear, she felt a responsibility, not just for herself, but for the others who had been silenced. Victor had not come. He said he needed time to disappear, to find safety. He had given them the flash drive and vanished. Keanu didn't know if he'd ever see him again, but now wasn't the time for regret. Keanu walked through the glass doors and straight to the top floor. He didn't need permission. This was still his company, at least in name. The boardroom was full. 9 members of the executive team sat around the table. Most of them wore suits. A few looked up in surprise when Keanu walked in. 1 or 2 avoided eye contact completely. "Keanu," said the chairman, "Mr. Ellis," standing up. "We didn't expect you today." "Sit down," Keanu said quietly. Something in his voice made the entire room go silent. He pulled a small projector from his bag and connected the flash drive. Without a word, he displayed the files on the wall. Images, transfer logs, surveillance, footage, records of employees who were never paid, never seen again. Then the final screen, the folder named partners. 1 by 1, names were revealed, and 4 of them matched names sitting around the table. Gasps echoed across the room. Mr. Ellis looked furious. 2 board members stood up, faces pale. "This is fake," one said. "This is clearly edited." "It's not," Sophie said from the doorway. Her voice was strong. "I was there. I saw it. And I lived it." Another board member slammed her fist on the table. "You can't do this in front of everyone, Keanu." But he didn't flinch. "If I don't do it now, how many more will?" "Disappear." A man in a blue tie stood up slowly. "This could destroy everything we've built." Keanu looked at him. "Then maybe it should be destroyed." The room fell into silence again. Keanu turned to the chairman. "This company was meant to give people a second chance. You turned it into a cover for harm. I trusted you. I trusted all of you." Double quotes. Ellis's voice cracked. "We didn't know, but you didn't ask," Keanu interrupted. "And that's just as bad." He turned to Sophie. "Tell them." Sophie stepped forward, hands shaking slightly. She spoke clearly, telling them what she saw, what she found, and how she had been silenced. Her words were soft, but powerful. No one interrupted her. When she finished, Keanu looked around. "I've contacted law enforcement," he said. "And the press, they'll be here within the hour. You can either cooperate or be exposed for who you are." Panic set in. Voices rose. Phones buzzed. Keanu walked out of the room, Sophie close behind. They took the elevator down in silence. Outside, the sky had grown cloudy. A storm was rolling in. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Keanu stood by the sidewalk, breathing in the wind. "It's going to get worse before it gets better," Sophie said. "I know," he replied. They turned a corner, walking toward a small coffee shop nearby. Keanu needed time to think. But as they sat down, something didn't feel right. Across the street, a black car was parked. Inside, a man sat watching them. He wasn't part of the press or the police. He was waiting. And he wasn't alone. Keanu single quotes S. Phone buzzed. No number. A message appeared. "You're into deep. Walk away or disappear." Keanu showed Sophie. She looked up slowly, her voice quiet. "They're not done yet." Asterisk truth cannot be silenced. Keanu stared at the message on his phone. The words were clear. "You're into deep. Walk away or disappear." He looked up at the black car across the street. The man inside didn't move. He just watched. Sophie single quotes S. Hands were clenched around her coffee cup. She had grown braver, but this was different. "What do we do?" she whispered. Keanu didn't look away from the car. "We don't run." Inside the coffee shop, a few people were watching. Then now, a couple of phones were out. The quiet murmur of the crowd grew as someone whispered, "That's Keanu Reeves." But Keanu didn't care about being noticed. This was no longer about fame. This was about justice. He pulled out his phone and sent the photos, documents, videos, and witness statements to 5 trusted journalists and 3 non-profit investigators he had worked with before. No names were left out. No details were spared. Everything Victor gave him, everything Sophie remembered, everything from the hidden room. It all went out in one massive email. He clicked send. Then he turned to Sophie. "Now they can't stop it, even if they try." Sophie nodded. Her eyes filled with tears, not from fear, but from relief. For the first time, someone had believed her. And not just believed, acted. A few minutes later, the car across the street started. It slowly pulled away, disappearing into traffic. Keanu watched it go. He knew this wasn't the end. But he had made his move, and the world was now watching. That evening, News alerts flooded every major media outlet. Headlines appeared one after another. Secret network uncovered in celebrity-owned. Burger chain whistleblower and owner. Expose hidden abuse and trafficking ring. Keanu Reeves delivers evidence to federal authorities. We failed to protect them. The story spread fast. Reporters showed up at stores across the country. People who had once stayed silent began to speak up. Former employees came forward. Mothers who never got answers about their missing daughters now had a name to blame and a face to thank. Within days, 4 executives were arrested. 2 others tried to flee but were caught. Federal agents raided several branches, finding more hidden rooms like the one Sophie had shown Keanu. The network was real, and it was collapsing. Keanu gave one statement to the press. He stood outside the headquarters where it all began. I believed we were building something good, he said. But somewhere along the way, people used our name and our silence to do harm. I take responsibility. I will rebuild this company from the ground up, with truth, with fairness, and with people like Sophie. He looked at her, standing proudly beside him. The crowd applauded. In the weeks that followed, Keanu worked day and night. He sold off every branch touched by corruption. He hired third-party monitors. He invited workers to tell their stories. And he started a foundation to help young people, especially girls, find safe jobs and access to mental health support. Sophie became the foundation's first director. She spoke at schools, on podcasts, in interviews. She had once feared speaking up would cost her everything. Now, her voice was saving lives. As for Victor, he sent one final message to Keanu. Thank you for doing what I couldn't. I hope one day I can make things right. Keanu never replied. Some scars, he believed, didn't need to be reopened. Months later, Keanu walked into that same burger restaurant where it all began. Same cap, same hoodie. The place had new staff, new policies, new spirit. He ordered the same thing: cheeseburger, fries, and a vanilla shake. A new girl at the counter smiled brightly. Coming right up, sir. No fear, no whispers, no secrets. As he sat at a corner booth, Sophie joined him with her own tray. They clinked paper cups together. To second chances, she said. Keanu smiled. To never staying silent again. Outside, the world kept moving, fast, loud, full of noise. But inside that booth, in that moment, there was peace. And a quiet knowing. Truth had won.